Tequila!
No, it's not tequila.
Oh, sorry.
It's American Brews and Tunes.
Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity beeby dow!
Wow, thanks for joining us. My name is Steven Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And this is another fun episode of American Brews and Tunes.
Yeah, another one-off episode, in fact.
Episode number 48, and this week we will be reviewing one album and trying one beer.
Oh, yeah.
Who are we reviewing this week, Jesse?
We're going to be looking at the Weakerthans album called Reconstruction Site.
Oh!
Yeah.
That sounds like a good album.
Oh, okay.
But we'll come back to that album in a minute. Shall we talk about the beer?
We shall.
Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Weakerthans, they are a Canadian band, so we thought maybe we should try a Canadian beer.
Yeah, they're based in Winnipeg.
Yes.
And
so
the beer's not from Winnipeg, but it is from Canada. It's from Chambly.
I don't know where that is.
QC, I believe that's Quebec.
Maybe. You decide.
I'm assuming so.
Anyways, the beer that we're having, like we said, it's Canadian. It's from a brewery called Unibroue.
Or Unibroue? I don't know how to say it. I don't know how it's Unibroue. Unibroue?
You tried one of these on the podcast before, right?
I think so, yeah. That was a different one. I had the Trois Pesto.
Or whatever it was called.
I think it was what it was.
And we've had one from them before called Le Fin du Monde.
Le Fin du Monde.
Whatevs. But they normally do Belgian-style beers, and they usually have a French title. The title of this one is... A Tout Le Monde.
Or a Tout Le Monde. Which, my shout out to Emily Titus, my sister, who knows how to speak French. She told me it means to everyone.
So she says. So she says.
I believe her.
I believe her too. This is a dry-hopped Belgian-style Saison ale.
Yeah, and I believe Saison means season.
I believe so. It's the farmhouse ale.
Yes.
From Belgium.
So anyway, I'm kind of excited to try this. And just for everybody's edification, on the sticker on this bottle, it has label. Yeah, the label. Yeah, it says Megadeth, and apparently, I believe the lead singer from Megadeth and one of the brewers at this brewery are connected somehow.
Curious.
That's just what the box the beer came in said.
Oh, so I believe the box. Why would they lie?
Yeah, why would they lie? What is
why would they lie?
What is the one saying? We're not saying the old adage is that people believe things that are printed, like no matter what.
Yeah, if it's printed, it must be true.
It must be true.
If it's on TV or the internet, it must be true.
Yeah. So this must be true.
So it says, and so it goes.
So I believe that is also a saying. So it says, so it goes. Comme c'est, comme ça.
Oh, ouais. Comme c'est, comme ça.
Ouais.
Okay.
Okay.
Je suis comme c'est, comme ça. Je m'appelle Steven.
Oh, je m'appelle Jesse.
Whereas the French, there's a French version of Steven. It's Je m'appelle Etienne.
Etienne?
Yeah.
What?
Oui.
Anyway.
Yeah, enough French.
Let's get back to trying this beer.
Yeah, we're gonna crack it open and let you guys know.
Yeah, these are coming to us in bottles. It's coming to us at 4.5% alcohol by volume, so not too much.
Nice, easy drinking, low gravity beer.
Kind of an easy drinker, so that'll be nice. I'm gonna crack mine and then hand the bottle opener over to Steve. Ooh. Oh no! Wow. It's going everywhere.
Jesse's beer is foaming absolutely everywhere.
You guys probably heard that.
Wow, you need a paper towel. I'm really nervous to open mine now.
We're gonna pause the episode real quick.
Yeah, we'll pause the episode so Jesse can clean it.
Open his outside.
See you in a minute. Well, we're back. We got the beer pouring under control. For a second, I thought maybe Jesse was just an amateur at opening beer bottles. But then when I opened my beer bottle over the sink, it did the exact same thing. It foamed up real bad.
Yeah, but then the interesting thing was that it poured really easily.
Yeah, so since it foamed up so much during the unbottling or the whatever you call it, the uncapping.
Uncapping, yeah.
I thought maybe it would be really foamy when we poured it, but it poured very gently.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
We now have 2 pint glasses full of beer.
Full of beer.
And it's a nice hazy straw color, I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not necessarily see-through.
As if we were in the saison, in the field, right out of the farmhouse, harvesting wheat.
Maybe. or we're in Nashville, recording a podcast and trying some beers. You decide.
I will decide. I decide that we're in a farmhouse.
Well, my observational skills tell me you're wrong. But, maybe it's all happening in your head. But why on earth should that mean that it's not real? Oh, Dumbledore. Anyways, let's say we give these a try.
Yeah.
And also, real quick side note, you guys. We are trying out some new microphones this episode. We probably should have said this a little earlier. Before we used to use just one microphone, now we're using 2.
Yep.
They're of better quality, and we kind of upped our whole system. So hopefully it sounds better. If you so desire, let us know if you think it sounds better.
Yeah, let us know.
Just give us some good feedback.
From what we've heard so far, I mean, like what we listened to, it sounds better.
Should be better. But you guys let us know.
Anyway, if you are also enjoying a brew while listening to this,
cheers along with us.
Raise your glass and cheers with the magic word.
Shippity-beep-doo!
Well, that's nice.
That's a really good beer. It tastes
it's real tasty.
very balanced. Not as herby or spicy as some other saisons that I've normally had.
But
it's really nice.
It has all those profiles though.
Oh, it's there. It's more subtle.
All the profiles you'd expect from a Belgian beer.
I've had some saisons that are really spicy, almost too spicy. I've had some saisons that I thought were gross.
And I've also had, I don't know if you have, but I have had other saisons that are all way too bubbly too.
Yep.
And this one, even though it exploded whenever I opened it,
it's not exploding with flavor. It's subtle, but it's delicious.
But it's also not that bubbly.
No, the mouth feels very nice.
Yeah.
Maybe that had a little to do with the foaming, but who knows? It's a really good beer. I'm happy with this.
It is, yeah. Tastes pretty good.
Would you get it again?
Yeah.
So would I.
Really?
Well, I guess you have to have it again because you purchased a 4-pack.
I have purchased a 4-pack, yeah.
You won't be disappointed, at least, I suppose.
Yeah, I'll be happy to drink it.
Yeah. As always, if our perceptions of the beer change as it warms up, we'll let you know. Otherwise, let's delve into the music, shall we?
Sounds good.
So, like we said before, we are reviewing an album called Reconstruction Site by a band called the Weakerthans.
Yes, the band is called the Weakerthans.
Yeah, and they are Canadian, like we said before, from Winnipeg.
Yes, from Winnipeg.
And they started out from the original bass player and kind of singer from Propagandy.
Yeah,
he recorded their first 2 albums, and after their second album, Less Talk More Rock, they kind of had some drastic artistic differences that could not be reconciled.
Yeah.
Propagandy was getting heavier and more political, and John K. Samson wanted some softer music that was much more introspective.
Yeah.
So they parted ways, and John K. Samson started the Weakerthans.
Yep. And boy, am I glad that he did.
I'm glad, too. Reconstruction Site is their 3rd album, and it came out in 2003. My experience with Weakerthans, I had known about them because Frank Turner had covered 2 of their songs, but I hadn't really paid too much attention to them until Jonathan Diener, the former drummer of the Swellers, he posted an article about alternative styles of music and getting into them, and he mentioned that a plea from a cat named Virtute by the Weakerthans is a good jumping in place. So I listened to that, I was like, this song's great.
And that's on this album.
And that's on this album. And then I listened to another song by them called Aside, and I was like, this song's great-er. And then I delved into all their music, and I think they're a great band.
Yeah, and I think the first time that I heard them was whenever we covered Aside.
Because you hadn't heard them. I was like, let's play this song in a band.
And I was like, who is that?
I was like,
and then I listened to the song, and I was like, that's pretty darn good. Yeah. And we covered that song with Nathan Shoup.
Yeah, and our band Cup of Shoup.
Yeah, and Kenny Van Duzer.
KVD
played the drums, and Shoup played the bass.
In the band Cup of Shoup.
It was dope.
Yeah, it was. Anyways, this is a pretty good album, I'd say, in general.
Yeah.
Reconstruction Site. If any of you are familiar with their last 2 albums before this, This takes a slight departure from their sound. They kind of add a little bit more folk and country sound, I'd say. Not on every song by any stretch of the imagination, but it's there in a few songs, which I don't think was really present before. Mm-hmm. The folk a little bit, but I think they expand on that more here.
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah.
And John K. Samson expands as a writer. Mm-hmm. He was already a great writer to begin with, let's be honest.
Yeah, so let's just lay that groundwork.
Yeah.
John K. Samson is a great songwriter. He's also a poet. So all of his words
Don't you know it?
Don't you know it, eh? He's so he's a poet, so his words are all chosen specifically, like for a purpose.
Another side note, I just took a second sip from the beer.
Yeah.
And I am tasting some sour notes now.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
There's a little bit of a tartness coming through that I didn't pick up originally, so I just wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah.
That the what's this beer called? Tout Lemon does have a slight tart characteristic.
It's very slight, though.
Yes, very slight, but it's there.
Yeah.
Shall we delve into this album?
We shall.
All right, so the very first song is in parentheses, the title. It's called Manifest.
Yep.
I gave it 5 out of 5, and it's my honorable mention.
Okay, I gave it 4 out of 5, and I honorable mentioned it.
This is the first in a set of 3 songs that go together thematically, musically, and just in a whole bunch of structurally.
Yeah.
Each song is about a terminally ill patient, just in different steps, thinking about life.
Yeah.
Spirituality, the aftermath after he passes away.
Yeah.
So they're all connected, all these 3 songs, and they come out through like pretty much the start, like the first song on the second side of the album, if you have a record, and the very last song are all the 3 songs.
Yeah.
All of them have their titles in parentheses to set them apart. They each have the same vocal melody, and they're each 14 lines long in iambic pentameter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Except for one line, he doesn't do the first syllable in the iambic pentameter, just in one line during one of the songs, but other than that, everything's iambic pentameter. Huh. So he wrote these songs as poems first, and then fit them to music.
Interesting.
This one's my favorite, the first out of the 3.
It is pretty awesome.
Because it almost sounds like a hopeful march.
Yeah.
With the drums, and then there's trumpets at the end that are really awesome.
Yeah.
In the very last line, and I'm permitted one act I can save, I choose to sit here next to you and wave.
Yeah.
So he's talking about, like, he's going to die. It's this terminally ill patient. He's like, I can take one memory with me, and I'm going to sit here next to you and wave.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of hope. So after that line, it gives you a little bit of comfort, I would say.
Yeah, comfort. I would say
comfort
that too,
in knowing that the death is coming, but having that those happy memories. The joy.
The happiness.
Well, moving on to track number 2.
Yeah.
Track number 2 is called The Reasons, and I gave it 4 out of 5.
I gave it 5 out of 5 and recommended it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, why did you recommend it?
I like it. So the reason that I like it so much is because of one specific line.
It the chorus?
Yeah.
The last line of the chorus? Well, that's pretty much the whole chorus, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole chorus. But
that's my favorite part, too.
It says, I know you might roll your eyes at this, but I'm so glad that you exist.
Yeah, what a nice sentiment.
Yeah, and one of the other, I think one of the other lines in it is where he says, and we know who we should love, but we're never quite certain how, or we're never certain how to like express that. So I feel like that line, I know you might roll your eyes at this, but I'm so glad you exist, is like just a good
saying, like,
good
sometimes people
way of expressing that.
Sometimes people have difficulty expressing their emotions towards others, like positive emotions.
Yeah.
So like if you try and say it to someone, they're like, "Oh, come on, man."
Mm-hmm.
When I was first like reading the lyrics and trying to figure out what the song's about, I thought it was a love song. But the more I thought about it, I don't think it's a love song. I think it's just appreciating someone else, like for true companionship.
Anybody really.
Yeah, because I don't think it. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what John K. Samson specifically had in mind, but in my interpretation, it's just being able to express your emotions for a true companion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great song.
And that's the reason I like
the
that
reasons.
song.
Yeah. Moving on to track number 3.
Yep.
It's the title track, so it's called Reconstruction Site.
Yep.
I give it 4 out of 5.
I gave it 5 out of 5 and recommended it.
Oh, 2 recommendations in a row.
What?
This could be about the same person that set of 3 songs is about. The person who's terminally ill and getting ready to die.
I think it is. Yeah. It's like from his perspective.
That's what I think. They don't come out right and say it, but I think it is.
Yeah.
I feel safe in saying that. Though I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You never know, eh?
So So now I want to bring up that video, that interview with John K. Samson, or
Sure, bring it up.
whatever. So Steve shared a video with me of John K. Samson talking at a college.
He was like giving a seminar Q&A
seminar kind of
type deal.
thing.
Yeah.
But
It was an English class, and the professor, based on the way he was kind of
quoting him and
introducing him, he seemed like he had these series of seminars where he brought in artists,
or like,
novelists, writers,
poets,
all kind of different people.
Else.
So he brought in John K. Samson for this seminar.
Literary figures.
Yeah.
And during that interview or seminar, John K. Samson talked about about this tension between beauty and functionality.
Yep.
And I think this song kind of brings that to light. So this hospital man, he's talking about all these different parts in his life that like he remembers fondly. And at one point, he says, "Beauty's just another word I'm never certain how to spell."
Mm-hmm.
And then directly after that, he says, "Go tell the nurse to turn the TV back on."
Mm-hmm.
So two things are in that phrase. The idea of what beauty is, which is a vast range that is, I don't know, not really set in stone.
It's a construct.
I don't think it's set in stone. Right, what's the one thing? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder?
I don't know. What if you're blind? It's the inner beauty.
It's the inner beauty, man.
I'm just being a goofball.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that line shows the tension between that, because like he's in the hospital,
contemplating like what beauty is, and then he's like, put the TV back on.
Yeah, but he's like, just watch the TV, like something that functions, that works, that functions well.
And then he also just reflects on like random instances.
Yeah,
like that. He thinks about like his body as like a bad joke at a wedding, but then he's like remembers a specific event at a wedding.
Yeah,
and like thinks about this little kid who's hiding on a table.
Yeah,
but then uses that to ponder like the meaning of life also. Kind of. So it's weird.
So this is where his John K. Samson's like
very good writing,
very good writing style. Yeah, where you kind of have
big
to
questions and specific events and all kind of things that might not be as deep if you gloss over them.
Yeah. But I think I just want to bring up one other point here real quick before I move on.
Bring it up.
That through all the Weakerthans songs, I believe John K. Samson has a really good ability of towing the line between beauty and functionality, like super well, like having these really big metaphorical ideas, but also talking about like everyday, like what's the word? Tactile things.
Yeah, small things.
Yeah.
And this song definitely exemplifies
that. So I think if you go and listen to this album or any other album, you're going to find that thread throughout all of the Weakerthans albums.
Yeah.
And that's why I like that song so much.
It's a very good song.
It is.
I just didn't pick it because I think the writing is great. It's just I think there's other songs I like better that I want to recommend.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Track
number 4, which is called Psalm for the Elks Lodge Last Call.
Yeah.
I give it 3 out of 5. It's not a bad song. It's just not my favorite.
I gave it 4 out of 5.
You gave it 4 out of 5?
I'll tell you
I can't
why.
tell 100% of what it's about. It's definitely two people, like, I would say appreciating each other's company at a bar because maybe it's the last time they'll...
At the Elks
Is it
Lodge.
the last time they'll see each other maybe? Or are they just making the most of it just because they see the importance in it? I don't really know.
I think one other thing that, again, going back to that lecture that he gave, he talked about the importance of like community and like small town communities and everything like that.
Oh, like the TV show Community.
So I think the Elks Lodge is like either a bar or like a place where people normally meet, right? And so I think,
well, if it's a last call, it's got to be a bar. He talks in the song about the waitresses putting up the chairs and the bottles he broke.
Yeah,
it's got to be a bar.
So it seems as though like these are like maybe two old guys like passing on that Elks Lodge to like the next generation, because one of the lines he says, "Let the golden oldies station crackle and come through with the final benediction we'll hum along to before we say goodnight." So like the old golden oldies station, like not new music, old music, seems to imply in a way like a changing of the guard or changing of a generation.
Nice.
So,
how perceptive of you. Shall we move on to track number 5?
We may.
All right, this song is called A Plea from a Cat Named Virtute. I gave it 5 out of 5 and recommended it.
Same here.
This is like I said before, this is the first song I ever heard from the Weakerthans. It's up there for among some of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah, I would say so.
And it's a story about a depressed man told from the narrative of his house cat.
Yes.
So quite literally, the cat's the one telling the story. Like he talks about how he plays with a piece of string. He doesn't understand why the person's walking around drinking and watching TV. He's like, why don't you play?
Me.
Yeah. So it's interesting to hear a cat talk about a depressed person and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's
kind of a good storytelling device.
It is, because it allows you to examine something that happens often through a different
point of view.
Yeah. And the cat repeats often, a couple times at least, that he says, "I know you're strong."
Yeah.
And that refers to the cat's name. Virtute is Latin for strength.
Yeah.
But also Virtute is somewhere in the slogan or motto from Winnipeg or Canada or somewhere. So it's also a nod to John K. Samson's hometown.
Yeah. So a plea from strength.
Yeah.
So this depressed man should find the strength.
Yeah. Should.
It's a plea. That's why it's a plea.
But this is the first in a series of songs. The person and the cat come back in 3 other songs.
Yes.
On the Weakerthans' next album, there's a song called Virtute Explains Her Departure.
Mm-hmm.
And in that song, Virtute leaves because the depressed guy gets worse, even with Virtute's help. So Virtute leaves. Really sad song.
It is.
One of the sadder songs I've ever heard.
Good one,
on John K. Samson's second solo album, he refers to the owner at a rehab center.
Oh, really?
And then on the last song on his solo album, it's called Virtute at Rest, and Virtute is now dead, but the owner, I believe, has gotten better.
Okay.
So it's a nice chronicling that he has throughout his career of this cat.
Yeah.
What a great series of songs.
Very cool.
My favorite song is the second in the series, Virtute Explains Her Departure, but this one's still a really good introduction to the series. Yeah. Great song also. It's super catchy.
It is.
Yeah. So even if the themes and the story don't drive you in so much, the music can, because it's really catchy.
Yeah.
Dope. Moving on to track number 6, which is called Our Retired Explorer, parentheses. What's that say?
Dines with Michael Foucault in Paris, 1961.
Yeah, the only reason I had to ask you what does that say is because in my handwriting it looks like Drez instead of Dines. Here, take a look at my handwriting.
Where is it?
Do you see the very top? It does not look like Dines. It looks like Drez. And I was like, what does that mean? I gave this 5 out of 5 and I recommended it.
Oh, okay, I gave it 4 out of 5.
It's another storytelling device.
Yes.
John K. Samson makes up an encounter between this literature explorer kind of guy named Michael Foucault?
Yeah, I think so.
And a unnamed explorer who was on the expedition to Antarctica with Ernest Shackleton.
Yeah.
Do you know much about that?
You look like Shackleton.
Do you know much about the Shackleton expedition?
No, not really.
I at the Pittsburgh Carnegie Science Center, I watched a movie about Shackleton.
Okay.
And it was a horrible disaster.
Really?
They got stuck in the ice and their boats wouldn't budge and they were running out of fuel. At one point in time, they had to eat the dogs.
Oh my gosh.
They got that desperate. Eventually, they got the boats free and made it back up, but it was not what you would call a successful expedition.
Wow.
But anyways, back to this song. These two are sharing drinks, the explorer who was with Shackleton and Michael Foucault, or whatever you want to call him. And they're having a conversation, and John K. Samson says in an interview that he imagines that the unnamed person has a modernist view, whereas Foucault has a postmodernist view, and how they can't necessarily see each other's point of view. They're still kind of talking about exploration and whatnot.
Mentions a book by Derrida.
Yeah, like recommending a book or something or giving it to him.
Derrida was apparently part of the movement that put postmodernism into effect or into a wave.
Yeah. But there's some funny lines in this song too. Yeah. Like the explorer is talking in French because obviously they're in Paris. But he just starts out with this line where he says, "Comment allez-vous ce soir? Je suis comme ci comme ça." And he says, "Yes, a penguin taught me French
in Antarctica.
back in our Antarctica. I always laugh when I hear that song, at least that line of the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool song.
Yeah, I like
just
it too.
interesting to want to write a song with that specific narrative.
Yeah, I know.
Very intentional.
Yeah, he mentioned in that interview or in that lecture that he was interested in historical fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like what this is. A fictionalized meeting between these two people.
Yeah. On to the next song, track number 7, which is called Time's Arrow.
Time's Arrow.
I give it 3.5 out of 5.
I give it 4 to 5.
It's a slower song, and it's about time per se, and the reversal of time.
Yeah, well, apparently it's based on a book.
Yeah, it's based on a book of the same name by Martin Amis.
Yeah.
Which chronicles a guy's life in reverse chronological order.
To birth, yeah. From death to birth, yeah.
But that's all I have to say about that song, unless you... All right. On to the next song, which is called Hospital Vespers, in parentheses. I gave this 4 to 5, and it's another honorable mention for me.
Yep. This is the
second song in that set of 3.
Yep.
So I believe if you have the record and you flip it over, this is the first one.
That's a B-side.
Yeah. So this song is about the dying man in the hospital again. Mm-hmm. In this one, in the narrative, he asks whoever he's with to cover up a camera so he can kneel down and pray. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Vespers comes from.
I like the first line. The doctors played your dosage like a card trick.
Mm-hmm. But also when he's saying...
Scrabbled down the hallway yelling Yahtzee.
While he's saying that, though, the chords are kind of like coming in backwards, and his voice has some effect that kind of makes it a little drowsy sounding.
Yeah.
But also, when I think of the backwards chords, it kind of harkens back to the previous song about backwards time. Maybe there's a reference there. Maybe I'm stretching it. Who knows? But I think it's a cool song, and it fits the same structure as the first song.
Yeah.
Moving on to track number 9. Number 9. This song is called...
Uncorrected Proofs.
Uncorrected Proofs. Yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5.
I gave it 5 out of 5 and recommended it.
Whoa, that surprises me.
This is my 4th recommendation, by the way.
This song speeds up a bit, and it sounds like it might be about loneliness, regret, perhaps.
I think so. You remember proofs?
In math
class.
Yeah,
where you have to prove how you got your answer.
Yeah, it's stupid. I hate proofs.
Yeah. So these are so think about the idea of uncorrected proofs.
Yeah.
Right, and that's kind of what this song's about. Is about like doing the same thing over and over again without like justifying what you're doing.
Sounds like craziness to me.
Yeah. So the line that I like from this song is read it to yourself again. The stories always end the same. He can't stay and she won't run, and fear is where they're calling from. So the idea that like the same you're telling yourself the same story over and over again, and it's just going to keep ending the same way. So they're uncorrected proofs.
Makes
so like
sense.
if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, what is that? What's that one line? An insane person is someone who does the
insanity is somebody who does the same thing over and over again and expects different results.
Yeah. So that's why I like that song.
It's a good song.
It. And I also recommend it because it is faster. And
it does. They pick up the speed a little bit there.
I like the music a lot in it too.
Yeah. Moving on to track number 10, which is called A New Name for Everything. I gave it 3 out of 5.
I gave it 4.5 out of 5.
Much more country sounding than any other song on the record.
I like it.
There's a lot of slide guitar up in here.
Yep.
The reason I'm not as familiar with this song because on my CD there must be a scratch or something, and it starts it starts to skip a little bit, and then eventually it just bumps you to the next song. I haven't listened to this one nearly as much as I've listened to the rest of the album. It's not bad.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
And do you have anything else to say about it?
No.
It's a nice change of pace, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Moving on to track number 11, which is called One Great City. I gave it 5 out of 5, and it's my last recommendation.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 as well, but I can't give 5 recommendations.
I mean, you could. It's our it's our own podcast. You do whatever you want.
This is basically an ode to Winnipeg.
Quite literally, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
The title comes from a sign that's outside of Winnipeg, like a welcome sign.
Yeah.
And I guess at some point in time after the recording of this album, they changed the title on that welcome sign.
Heart of the continent.
Heart of the continent. Like, and so he wrote a song that's titled that on his first solo album. It's kind of like a part 2 to this song.
Yeah.
I like the picking pattern on the song. It's real simple, real nice, very folky. And they kind of talk about like how he wants to like Winnipeg, but there's all these like negative things and like boring, dreary. Like a darker shade is moving through the lighter one. That's the sky. Just all kind of like dreary things. And the refrain that keeps coming back at the end of the chorus is "I hate Winnipeg."
I hate Winnipeg.
But it's such a catchy song.
It really is. Yeah. I love it.
Moving on.
Moving on
to track number 12, which is called Benediction.
Benediction. Good
I
song.
gave it 3 out of 5. It's slower, and there's slide guitar again. I don't know.
I still like this whole. I like this whole album a lot. Like, there's not a song that I skip ever if I'm listening to it.
The only one I ever skip is track number 10 because my
It's
CD player
forces you
automatically
to.
skips it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this song.
It's a good song,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have too much to say about it.
Yeah.
Moving on to track number 13, which is called The Prescience? Prescience?
Prescience.
Prescience?
Prescience.
Whatever.
It's a sound.
Prescience? I don't know what that
Prescience
is.
of
Of
dawn,
dawn.
Yeah, I learned a new word. I looked up
Prescience.
that word.
I did not
Prescience.
look up the word. I just wrote
It's,
it down and hoped
it's-
that I would say it right.
It'll make sense why the song is called The Prescience of Dawn after I give you the definition of prescience.
Okay, what's that mean?
I believe I'm saying prescience right. Anyway, prescience is the knowing that something's going to happen before it happens.
Okay.
So, like, you know the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Like pre-science.
Pre-science.
I don't know.
That's what that's what I thought of it as. I was like, think about it as like pre-science.
I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
I didn't rate these last ones because I was just gonna say 4 to 5.
Lazy.
Each
That's
time.
why. No, I'm just kidding. But
So
this
if
has
you-
a really different feel from everything else on the album,
yeah,
too.
it does.
It almost, like, with the intro, it sounds like it's going to be a fast song, and then it, like, kind of, I don't want to say sludges, but it, like, he drops back in speed, and it's really, like,
Yeah.
slow but heavy, and, like, really kind of melancholy.
Yep. And I believe that's because this song implies the prescience of death.
Yeah. The ever coming.
Talks about the fact that we know we're gonna die.
And which is
eventually.
the main reoccurring theme on this album, with
Yeah,
those 3
yeah.
songs and the title track,
Yep.
and with the next track.
Yeah. So if you think about it through the eyes of that one guy in the hospital,
Yeah.
the prescience of death.
Death is coming.
Is coming. Yeah.
Speaking of which, the next song is the last song. It's track number 14. It's called Post Due, in parentheses.
Past due.
Past Due, I'm sorry. My handwriting again. And I gave it 4 out of 5, and it's my last honorable mention.
Okay.
It's like I said, it's that last song in that set of 3 where they all have the same vocal melody. They're all iambic pentameter. They all focus around that dying patient in the hospital.
Yeah.
He has already passed on during this song.
Yep.
And John K. Samson just kind of talks about, like, death and rituals and all kind of things. Like, he's talking about reading the obituaries and how it really doesn't encapsulate how a person is.
Yeah. It doesn't encapsulate all those little things that they've done through
Little
their
things,
life
yeah.
that have meant a lot to so many people.
Like, the people who truly know them, like, know all these little things that you'd never find in an obituary.
Yeah.
But there's also, later on in the song, he talks about, like, the person who's, I guess, writing the song, who knew the person who passed on, like, has borrowed a book or has an unsigned check from them.
Yeah.
And how it might seem like it's like a reminder of the pain, but maybe it's more of a blessing because you have those things to remember.
Yeah, to remember
So
that
it's
person.
a duality, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
It's a nice sentiment of
Yeah.
the death. That there's always going to be that fear towards death, but there's always something to remember, and everyone shares that experience, I guess.
Mhm.
Well, all in all, this is a great album.
All in all, it's a fantastic album.
Yeah,
And,
super well written.
The rest of their catalog is also fantastic.
Yeah. My favorite album is the album that came after this called Reunion Tour, but
Yeah.
every album by them is worth checking out.
Yeah.
I think they get better with each album.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
I think they're great.
Yeah, they are great. They're very different from Propaganda, who John K.
Yes.
Samson started with.
They are very different from
Yeah.
Propaganda.
If you listen to their album Less Talk, More Rock, you can hear 2 songs that John K. Samson sings on.
Mhm.
It's just funny to hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this beer?
You know what? It's still good.
It's still good. I guess before we finish these, just a reminder for what we'll be reviewing next week. It's back to a regular edition of the podcast.
Back to regular scheduled programming.
Jesse has, for some reason, recommended this album called... What's it called? Surrounded by Richard Buckner.
Yeah.
For some
For
reason.
some reason, who knows?
Yeah, I've been listening to it a couple times through, and that's what I keep asking myself. For some reason, he recommended this.
Maybe it's because I like it.
Well, that could be the reason. I don't know.
Could be the reason.
Tune in next week to find out. And what are you supposed to be listening to?
Sum 41, their album, all killer, no filler.
All Killer No Filler, which is actually kind of funny. In one interview, like way later on in their career, where their singer Derek Whibley's kind of reflecting on their catalog, he's like, that title is a lie because most of that is filler. We were trying to just write songs real quick because we blew the advance on a lot of alcohol and parties. Oh, it's hilarious. Classic.
That is really funny.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we'll review those next week, and we'll have 2 separate beers to try as opposed to this week where we just had the Unibroue.
Yep, the Una beer.
Yeah,
One beer.
It's going to be kind of like, I guess these 2 weeks are going to be themed together because this week we had a Canadian beer and a Canadian artist, and we're wearing hockey jerseys right now. And next week we both are reviewing Canadian artists, and
So
we'll
I
probably
guess-
be wearing hockey
I
jerseys.
guess we're gonna have to find another Canadian beer.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
Anything is possible.
if you just believe.
Yeah. So let's finish our beers and sign off.
Yep. Just one other quick note. You can check us out on
Oh, good thinking.
Instagram,
Twitter, Facebook.
Facebook.
We have an email which is americanbrewsandtunes@gmail.com, or
We
you can
have
go
a
to our
website.
website, which is brewsandtunespodcast.com. Check us out. Send us a line. Let us know if you like the podcast, or just say how you guys doing.
Yeah.
If you don't like the podcast, let us know either. We love to hear from you.
And if you enjoy it, share it with your friends.
Yeah, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or something. Give us
Or
a
on-
review.
or on whatever.
Stitcher, whatever you want to do.
SoundCloud.
Anyways,
Time
like
to
we
finish
always
this
say before we finish our beers,
beer.
Shibbidi-beep-doo! That was a good beer.
It was, yeah. I think I'll have another.
It was a little sedimenty at the bottom, but that's
Yeah.
always a nice treat.
Nice
of
little
extra flavor.
addition.
Anyways, my name is Steven Johnson.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
Okay. American Brews and Tunes!
Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American